everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Tried and Tested podcast. I am your host, Tracey, and if you are not familiar with my show, this is a dating and relationship podcast where I talk about all things relationship related. Anything from first dates, last dates, breakups, marriage, anything that you can think of that comes to mind when you talk about relationships, we talk about on this show. And so today I do have a special guest, my dear boo, Sabine. Say hey, Sabine.
Hey, everyone. How's everything going?
Good. So we just thank you so much for being here with us today. And then so without further ado, I am going to get into the topic. So today's topic is a little bit different. It's a two-part topic. It's advice I wish I had in regards to relationships / why didn't anyone tell me? Okay. So to kind of break that down, obviously we've all been through different things when it comes to dating and relationships. And I'm sure that some things we could have avoided with advice. And then also, why didn't anyone tell me? It's like something that you've been through and, you know, it's kind of just like maybe you could have went a different route. And so it's kind of just like, well, why didn't anyone tell me that, blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of like what the two-part topic is. So, all right, Sabine, so I guess we can start. We're going to start with friendships, okay? These are different categories and whatnot. And if you have any stories or anything like that, you can definitely let me know. So as far as friendships, like what advice do you wish you had when it came to friends?
I would say basically to look out for certain actions when it comes to having friends, and basically I know I have a good heart. That's one thing about me. Like I'm just a friendly person. I'm welcoming. I'm always like letting everyone into my space, into my personal life. And I wish sometimes I could have just like know how to limit that, which is something I'm still learning. It's a learning process and I'm going through it now. So I do feel that like I wish that I did have that example where people tell you, take it slow, like calm down. Not everybody's your friend. Like you can't just be welcoming everyone into your home like that, into your heart like that, into your personal life like that.
No, that's definitely facts. Like that's definitely facts. And that's definitely something good to know. I feel like, you know, with that particular statement, I definitely got that advice, but I just felt like, no, that's not true. It's not possible. Like everyone has to be like me. They have to be kind and, you know, all that kind of thing or whatever. Especially when it comes to relationships, like everyone doesn't really like you. For some people, they can use you. They may need a place to stay. They may need money. They may need their papers. Like, I done heard it all, but it's just like, you know, so that's definitely some advice I feel like I wish I would have utilized. Even though I did hear it before, I didn't actually put it, you know, to good use. So that's definitely something that I feel like is, you know, good to know. And also with that, I remember, well, there was a saying I heard when I was younger that you, by the time you, I don't know if you die or you grow up, you'll be able to count all your friends on one hand, like all your real friends. And I used to think, like, that's so well, I mean, but at the time, I'm like, that's crazy. Like, what do they mean? You know, but I guess, you know, there is some truth to it. You know, some people may have more than 5 real friends, but it's kind of just like, yeah, like that was really like surprising for me. So, what about with relationships? And this, you can answer either advice I wish I had or why didn't anyone tell me or both. But when it comes to relationships with men, what is something that maybe you learned a lesson the hard way and you just feel like this is something that I wish I knew about, you know?
I can honestly say when I get into a relationship, like I jump in and into a relationship with like my head first. It's like, oh, okay, you know what? I'm in love. I love this person, but it's like, you know, I'm just loving the way everything is flowing at the beginning. I feel like I wish I had people that would come out and say like, you know, Sabine, you're moving a little too fast. Like, take it slow. Oh, you can't have this person coming in and just moving in like that. You can't have this person doing this with you. Like, I do tend to jump into a relationship with like my whole 100. And it's like, I know it's not right, but it's like, I wish I had friends that would tell me like, you know, calm down with that.
No, that's definitely good. But I feel like, okay, so with advice, though, I feel like people don't typically take it. So I feel like if somebody were to tell you, would you even listen?
To tell you the truth, I think that I've had heard it, but it's like, you know, I take
Yeah,
it.
like you don't
It's
take
been like
it.
mostly indirect messaging, or it's been like playful. Oh, like I felt like I need like more of a sit down, serious type of scare when it comes to like
Mm.
situations like that. But it's like always been like a indirect type of, oh, girl, you need to take it down a notch, or girl, like you taking it too serious, or like it just be like in a playful, jokeful way.
Yeah, but I feel like with that, like for me, like I know with advice, right? Like advice, I feel like I wish I had is that you cannot, like, you can't tell your friends who to date and not date. You can't tell them who's right for them and who's wrong for them because I've seen it firsthand with myself and lost a friend, a really good friend, you know what I mean, for like a couple of years. So I feel like advice I wish I had is just kind of like sit back and, sit back, relax. You may not like that person, but if they're with them, just make sure that they're safe and, and be the best friend you can. I feel like
That's true.
that,
That is true.
yeah,
But
because I know I definitely, oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, but I do feel that like sometimes your friend do know who you are, and they
Mhm.
can already spot out certain characteristic in that person that you're dealing with, and they could already see that that person is not your type, that person is not what you really looking for, and then it's like you're like, oh no, I'm good, but then 6 months later you're starting to find all the flaws, and you're like, oh, I don't like this, I don't like that, we don't do this, we don't go out as
Yeah.
much, and this person doesn't do the same thing I want to do. So then 6 months later, you're starting to see the flaws, but then it's like you were ignoring your friends. That has happened, but it's like, I took it like, oh, okay, you know what? It's going to be
Mhm.
better. It's going to be better. But then 6 months later, I'm like, oh, I'm complaining like to my friends. They're like, I thought we kind of warned you.
Yeah, like we already told you. Okay, that definitely makes sense. And I feel like too, like when it comes to advice, like I said, with relationships, oftentimes it's like you may look at the person and be like, oh, they trying to hate. Like why they hate? And I'm happy. I like this person. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's something else too, where it's kind of just like, well, why didn't anyone tell me that? I myself wouldn't listen. I've definitely been there where it's like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm good. Thank you. But
Yeah.
also, with relationships, I would say that why didn't anyone tell me that your first love could destroy you? I mean, any love could destroy you, but your first love, because it's the first time of doing something, and it's just like, that can ruin your whole entire existence. Okay?
Yes, that is
So,
true. That is so
yeah.
true.
Because when you think of a first love, like, people make it so romantic and they make it so beautiful like in movies and stuff. And for me, like I'm someone who is very like I like romantic things. So the idea of your first love, like you just for me, I was like, oh yes. But then when I got into the situation, like I lost friends. People was looking at me crazy. People was trying to fight me. People was in my DMs. And here I am, just dumb as I don't know what, still in love with the wrong person. And so I feel like your first love, it can make or break you. That's fact. Like it's just either it is or it isn't. So that's one of the things I would say. Why didn't anyone tell me? So as far as you, do you have any more advice that you wish you had, or when it comes to strictly relationships like boyfriend and girlfriend?
As far as with the first love situation, that has happened to me. Like I never thought that I could ever fall in love, but it did happen when I was younger. And
Mhm.
I can say I love someone, but I've never been in love again since that situation. Like you said, it does break you. And I wish that I didn't put my 100 into that relationship, because I feel like when you're in love, you just like ignore the world, and anything anyone can
Mm.
say to you negative about that person, it doesn't exist to you. A person can walk up to
Yeah.
you that's like, way handsome than that person. You don't even see them. They're trying to even
Yep.
talk to you. Is because you only see that one person. And when it was time when we break up, it really destroyed my entire life when it comes to basically being in love again. So I
And
wish
that's
that,
deep.
yeah, it did, because it's never been the same for me. It's never been the same. Like I can honestly say, and after the breakup, it took me 5 years to get over it.
Girl, we
Yeah,
still
5 years.
young. Well, yeah, like that's dope. I mean, I guess, like I said, that's something that like people don't really talk about. Like, but then you do see people who are in relationships for like on and off for like 10 years because they can't let go. You know what I mean? So I guess advice, that I wish I had is if you give somebody too much of yourself, not saying that you should, hold yourself back, but if you give yourself
Yeah.
too much away to someone, you may come up missing. Like when it's time to break up, you don't even know who you are anymore.
Yep, you don't know how to live.
Yeah. Wow.
So all
Resolving
you know
like
is
your
to
life.
be around that person.
No, you know, definitely. Like that's what you wake up to. And I've definitely seen women like that, and I didn't understand, but I think that it's definitely, I don't know. It must be like drugs. I don't take drugs, but I feel like it must be something like that. Advice I wish I had, is to have self-respect when it comes to relationships. And a lot of the things that I'm talking about are like from like years and years ago, but it's just like to kind of like try to take a step back and just remember who you are as a person, because sometimes when you love somebody or you want them, you know, so bad, whether they're worth it or not, you start doing things that you probably shouldn't do, you know, waiting around for them hours and hours, you know, like hanging out with them and their friends who are nothing like you, who you don't like, losing sleep, sometimes not even showering. Like people do some crazy, crazy things, you know, like when it comes to this. And so I feel like with advice, it's kind of like people say that, oh, love is blind, but then they don't really break it down. Like love can really destroy you. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's also a good thing. So
It is. It is if you find the right person.
yes. So, and as far, okay, so what about with dating? So relationships, I feel like are boyfriend and girlfriend, but is there anything that you wish that you had known or that no one told you about when it comes to actual like dates? Like, hey, I just met you, Sabine. I want to go out with you. I want to go out to eat. Like in that aspect, is there anything that ever kind of like that you realized like, yo, I didn't know this?
I guess basically I can say to stop paying attention to the story that the person's making up to you. Because it's like when you first meet a person, you're not getting the full detail. You're just getting that glistering life that they're giving you. Like, oh, okay, you know what? I do this, I do that. I'm this way, I'm that way. But as you get to really get to know them, they're not that person that they described when you started dating. I guess it's like they start to show their real personality 6 months down the road or 4 months down the road, then it's like they're not doing the same thing that they were doing. I don't like things like that when it comes to like starting with the dating process. Like I feel like you should be able to just be yourself and just like, you know, express who you really are. I wish I knew to look for those kind of characteristics when it comes to like going out on a date with different guys. It's like I always pay attention to like how they telling me how they are, and it's like, oh, okay, we're gonna do this, we hanging out doing that. But then it's like all of a sudden, 3 months later, you're a different person.
That's facts. I mean, I feel like I definitely can agree with that as far as me. Like, why didn't anyone tell me that a lot of people are out here looking for help? A lot of people are out here lying about who they are, what they are. And that was a biggest shocker, because for me, I'm someone who I feel like I'm very honest. And so also, why didn't someone tell me that I don't have to be so upfront? Because for me, like, if I meet you and I'm like, oh, okay, this is someone that I like, I will, you know, I'll keep it real with you. And I remember, like, I've had more than one person tell me, like, you know, you're too honest. And I'm like, what? Like, I would think this is what you want. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess what no one really told me that, like, you yourself may be too much for somebody else. And that some people actually want to be lied to, which is bizarre. But, okay. So, any other things as far as dating goes? I know you mentioned going on physical dates. So, have you ever been in a situation where perhaps people don't bring money or people don't eat while you're on the date? Anything like that, where you feel like is it advice that you wish you could have used?
Oh no, that has never happened. I can't say that's happened where someone came without willing to pay. I know I've heard stories like that through friends, and I'm like, whoa. I have never experienced that, and I don't know what to basically expect. Ever since I heard those stories, I always make sure I have a full credit card on hand just in case that person decides to walk out or doesn't have it and they're expecting you to pay the bill. But that would be the last date.
Oh, yes. And I feel like, okay, so with that, I think advice I wish I had is that, you know, you think, like for me, I feel like now I'm probably different than I was a decade ago, but I feel like I'm a nice person. So I feel like advice I wish I would have had is that you could be nice, like to your friends and family, but just be cautious with men until you know what their intention with you is, because sometimes people see you as being nice, which means being dumb, which means being weak, which means maybe, you know, I can use her for whatever it may be that I need. Yeah, because you're too nice and too understanding, whereas other people will shut it down immediately. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's something where I guess knowing the game, like knowing the dating game, knowing how it works and how it moves, that's advice I really wish I had. Okay?
Yeah. The same thing. I agree with that. Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, your parents doesn't really teach you. They just teach you how to basically be in a relationship when you're in a relationship, but they don't teach you the dating process.
Yes, yes. And I mean, I know you're Haitian, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so like I'm African. Like my mom did not talk about relationships, period. Like I feel like everything that I learned from like life or people or friends, and I feel like I guess advice I wish I had is that make sure if your parents don't come to you, go to your parents and ask questions about, and it may be uncomfortable, but they're older, they've been there, and they'll have something to tell you that is, you know, that can help you along the way. Because I had a lot of friends when I was younger, and I asked different people, and it's just like, it doesn't matter how many questions you ask, you just won't know. You need somebody who's older than you or more experienced than you. So.
Yeah, that's true, but parents, they're always going to be strict and hard on you. They don't want to hear their kids dating or in a relationship. Like, I do agree talking to someone older, like maybe an auntie or older sister, older siblings. Yeah. But it's like, I really feel like as parents, we need to like start doing better when it comes to like when you have kids. Like even with my son now, I'm like always talking to him like, oh, you have a girlfriend? Like, what's her name? Like I try to be his friends when it comes to that situation because I know I didn't learn much when it came to my parents, because if they heard I was dating, I would be dead.
Yes. It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And I feel like, no, girl, I'm like 100% with you on that. All right. So obviously neither of us are married, but what is something that maybe you would say, like, why didn't anyone tell me, or advice I wish I had when it comes to what our perception of marriage is, like what we've seen, what we think we've seen, what we've heard. So do you have anything for that?
I was married when I was 19, and I got divorced when I turned 25. So,
okay. Yes,
girl,
you better talk then.
I wish that I did get advice about that because I feel like, at that time we just young, and he was older than me, but it was like, oh, okay, I'm in love. I'm just going to hide it. So my parents didn't know. No one knew. I just went in. We went to a city hall in Manhattan and got married. But then it was like, It wasn't like we spent as much time anymore because then he was going into the military, and then he kept asking me to move, and then he became arrogant by being in the military, and then he just changed into a different person. But I felt like because I was so young, I didn't know how to basically, be there for him as his wife. Like I felt like I was pulling back a lot when it came to his cockiness or the way he was changing, not understanding the fact that, he was in the military. So things did change for him as well.
Well, how old was he? If you were 19, like how
I was
when you
19,
guys got married?
he was 27.
Okay, so he was in a different phase in his life, so that's definitely fact. Okay. So so what things do you feel like as far as the marriage itself, like what advice do you wish you had, or what do you feel like people did not tell you or you did not know when it came to marriage, like what it's about?
You got to communicate more. We didn't do much of that. It was like I was angry, I kept it to myself. If he was angry, he just kept it to himself. If he was going through something, he kept it to himself. I feel like when it comes to a relationship and marriage, you're supposed to be able to communicate and open up to one another. And we did not have that. We just had like a lot of anger towards each other built up because of us not understanding each other.
Okay. No, definitely that's deep. So I would say like as far as marriage, I can't even talk, girl. Why did anyone tell me that like marriage is not just about being in love with somebody and spending the rest of your life with them? Like marriage is actually like broken down. Like you said, communication. You have to be able to stand this person. You need to have similar life values, similar life goals if you want things to kind of move smoothly. Similar religions, you have to kind of be in sync in more ways than not, even finances, and you have to be on the same page with these things, or your marriage may be at a higher risk of a divorce as compared to like what I thought it was. I was just like, oh, you know, you love somebody, you get married, you have kids, everyone's happy, and that's not facts. So,
Nope. In reality, not everyone is happy. We just hide it. You just hide it until anger starts to build up, and then it destroys the marriage.
Yes, resentment, cheating, lying, like dissatisfaction. Like, there's so many different things I feel like that come with that. So yes, that's definitely like good. And then also advice I wish I had. For me, so I got into a relationship not because I felt like I met the man of my dreams. This is my first relationship. Actually, it was several relationships. I honestly was under the impression that you're supposed to date people just to see what dating is like. So that was my sole intention, and I got sucked in and trapped by this hellish man I ended up, you know, falling for. But the reality of it was, it's just that I felt like, okay, I'm of a certain age. I've never had a boyfriend. I want to see what it's like. And, you know, it's kind of just like the advice I wish I knew is that there's more to life than a man. And there's more to life than just dating somebody just to say you have a boyfriend and just to feel like you're not single. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's definitely part of it. And I would also say, advice I wish I had, probably you hear it in school, but you don't really take it. I would say is that not to have sex. Okay? And I know that everyone differs on this. Some people will say no sex before marriage. Some people will say no sex after, like, you know, before 90 days.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to, like, now for me, like, I'm not having sex until I get married at this point. But in that day and age, if someone feels like they want to fornicate and they want to do whatever they want to do, I still feel like it shouldn't be like, oh, I met you, you're fine, you told me that you love me, and bam, we're having sex, because that will distort your whole mindset and process with the person that's in front of you. And so you start seeing somebody who's not really there, and then you end up wasting your time because you had sex too early. So that's, I feel like that's so something that, yeah, like that's like major facts, because I feel like that would save people a lot of heartbreak, a lot of lost time, a lot of looking crazy out in these streets, you know what I mean? So that, like, for me is a major. So, all right, let me see.
Yeah, even with this whole relationship, that's basically how you explain it with the dating. Like, I agree with that. Like, I feel like, you know, sometimes we get sucked into, like, that one person. I think it's because of perception that society put, like, oh, if you're a female and you're dating multiple guys, you're a hoe. But in reality, I feel like we're supposed to do that because we're limiting ourselves to just like one person and not knowing what else is out there. I feel like, you know, when you sit there and you're able to date like multiple type of men, but
hold on, I think my mic went out for a second. I'm sorry. What did you say?
3 guys, you're a hoe.
Oh, well, I feel like, I think, well, repeat what you said, because my mic did cut out for a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes.
No, I was basically saying that, like, you know, when it comes to the dating, like, society perception on it for a female is like, okay, if you're dating multiple guys, you're a hoe. But in reality, you need to date multiple people so you can see the different characteristics that you basically want and that you feel that would be beneficial for you in a relationship. So it's like when you just sit there and you date that one person, you think that that's the best thing, but then it's like then you end up thinking into having sex with the person and you're stuck in a relationship that you're like, oh, okay, you know, I wish I had dated other people to see what was out there. But it's like, oh, okay, but society's perception, if I'm dating 5 dudes, I'm a hoe.
And I mean, I see that from like different angles, because I feel like I wouldn't even consider it like dating. I would say that because the whole purpose of advice and things that we wish that we knew was so that we don't waste our time. So I feel like don't put all your eggs in one basket would have been good advice, but also just kind of like, I wouldn't even say dating. I would say, like, let's say there's 5 men that are interested in you and you're 21 years old and maybe you just don't know any better. I would say with that, like, just be friends with them. Like, nothing, no kissing, no nothing. Like, you know, just be friends with them and actually see who you really like. And then from there, it's like after, you know, 2-3 months, if you guys are still kicking it, you're still friends, and nothing is, you know, they're not trying to move too quickly, then you can kind of assess the situation from a clear mind. Because like I said, once you get into a place of being intimate, whether it's sex or no sex, when you start getting close with them, it's kind of just like your mind is not thinking correctly. And I feel
Mhm.
like as women, like we should be in a great mind space before we make a decision to say yes to a man. Because that would save you a lot of time. And I don't think that that would make anyone think anyone is a hoe because we're strictly friends and that's it. I'm not kissing you. I'm not nothing. Like, you know, I'm just, and that sounds kind of like maybe outdated or difficult. But I feel like if I had known that to the degree I know it now and to know like what it's worth, I think I definitely would have went that route completely.
Yes, I would say that again too. I would definitely went that route.
Yes.
But I have
Yes,
like older
honey.
sisters. That's how they think. Like when I started
Yeah.
telling her, okay, I'm going on two different dates. Like it's a different guy. Like what are you thinking? Are you crazy? But it's the old
Yeah.
school in them.
Yes, yes. No, that's facts. That's definitely facts. Well, Sabine Boo Boo, I definitely want to thank you so much for like, you know, being my special guest today and for giving some insight about, you know, this topic, which is really like interesting to me because I feel like we all definitely don't know the same things and we learned as we went along. So before we end this episode, do you have any last minute words or things that you want to say to the listeners?
Just take your time when it comes to dating and basically have an open mind when it comes to relationship and don't put all your egg in one basket. Make sure you
Mm,
explore because life is like large. It's not just that one corner of a
yeah.
state or something. So you got to be open minded and
Yes.
just go with the flow. And if you ever need advice, always talk to someone that's trusted, that's older. If you can't talk to your parents.
Yeah. That's right. And then also, I think I want to add one thing of why didn't anyone tell me? Why didn't anyone tell me that when you're a young woman and older men want you, they may not want you because you are so like wonderful. They want you because you look good and because you're young and you're dumb and you don't have any standards or requirements for them. That's for not everyone, but that's possible as to why. So I feel like that's a good why didn't anyone tell me? But yeah, I just want to thank my listeners so much for tuning in. And Sabine, what is your social media handles in case anyone wants to speak with you or DM you or whatever, follow you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. It's Sabine Gauthier 86. SabineGauthier 86. It's on Instagram.
Okay. All right, honey. Well, thank you so much. And to my listeners, I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in once again. And until next time, have a good one.
Thanks, Boo. Have a good one.